Since 2019, the Texas hemp industry has boomed into a $10 billion a year enterprise, and soon we will know if the state's hemp heyday has really come to an end. Welcome to the Notorious.tv, your home for all things scandalous, eccentric, and over the top. How did we get here? Well, it's been a years-long tug-of-war between overreaching politicians and freedom-seeking citizens. So sit close and listen carefully, because today I present to you Texas Hemp Storytime. Once upon a time in the kingdom of Texas, there was a plant, a chill little plant, a plant that minded its business, bothered no one, and simply existed. And Texas officials hated that. First came Dan Patrick, the big scary monster stomping through the kingdom, roaring, "Ban it!" every time the plant dared to grow a single leaf. His whole personality was basically, if it vibes, I must destroy it. Then, from the murky ethics lagoon rose Ken Paxton, the swamp creature who somehow survives every sequel. No matter how many times the villagers thought his storyline was over, he'd bubble back up like, "Surprise, I'm still here." And now, tired of the state swamp, he set his sights on the federal swamp, slithering toward Washington after dethroning Sir Cornyn of the long tenure. The villagers whispered about his many chaotic side quests, the kind that drained the kingdom's gold and patience, but the swamp creature marched on, determined to join the national marshlands. And wandering from tavern to tavern, orbiting Dan Patrick like a sad little moon, was Senator Charles Perry, the dramatic bard. He carried a stack of cursed scrolls and ballads, each one more dramatic than the last, all titled something like How to Banish the Plant Forever, Volume 47. But then, out of nowhere, King Abbott, the reluctant ruler, swatted one of the bard's scrolls away, not because he loved the plant, not because he wanted to protect it, but because even he was like, okay, that's enough chaos for one session. And the plant lived to see another chapter. But peace never lasts long in the kingdom of Texas. You see, before the chaos truly began, the kingdom entered a strange and glorious era known as the hemp heyday. For a brief shining moment, the plant thrived. Shops popped up across the land like enchanted mushrooms. Villagers rejoiced, sheriffs shrugged, and the plant lived its best life, vibing freely under the Texas sun. Merchants traveled from distant kingdoms to sell potions, gummies, oils, and mysterious tinctures with names like Dragon's Breath and Sleepy Wizard. The kingdom's coffers overflowed with gold. The villagers were relaxed. Even the monster took a nap. It was a time of prosperity, peace, a golden age that the plant would remember fondly when the storms returned. If you're still here, we're practically trauma bonded at this point, so you might as well like this video and hit subscribe right now. Soon the villagers were confused, the constables were confused, the courts were confused, even the plant was confused. No one knew the rules anymore. Every map, scroll, and decree contradicted the last. Then came the dark years, a time of chaos, raids, lawsuits, and plot twists that made absolutely no sense. The plant survived, but barely. And just when the kingdom thought the saga was over, the monster returned, louder, angrier, and wearing new armor. The bard unveiled his biggest cursed scroll yet, a massive, glowing, doom-filled manuscript that threatened to end the plant's story once and for all. A troop of traveling doomsayers known as the Citizens for a Safe and Healthy Kingdom, led by their fearsome ringleader, the Girgabeast of propaganda, who roared warnings of doom and chaos against the plant. But the final character to enter the hall was the most dramatic of all, the chief of the Northern Watchtower, a stern, armor-clad figure from the distant kingdom of Allen. He stepped forward, raised his enchanted testimony scroll, and delivered tall tales so exaggerated the villagers whispered amongst themselves, "Is this a hearing or a bedtime story?" Together, the Girgabeast and the chief spun a tapestry of doom, gloom, and questionable prophecies, insisting the plant was the source of every problem in the kingdom, from dragon insomnia to enchanted cow misbehavior. But then, something unbelievable happened in the kingdom of Texas. The villagers, tired, stressed, and fueled by pure determination, rose up. They hauled in boxes and boxes of letters, scrolls, petitions, and enchanted signatures begging the king to spare the plant. And King Abbott, the reluctant ruler, he rolled into the throne room just 30 minutes before the royal deadline, looked at the cursed scroll on his desk, sighed dramatically, and said, "Fine." With a single stroke of his quill, he vetoed the bard's spell and saved the plant for one more chapter. The monster was furious. Dan Patrick stomped through the castle halls, shaking the chandeliers, and called an emergency dramatic press conference. He arrived with his loyal bard, Charles Perry, and a handful of stern palace guards. The villagers listened, confused. The plant blinked. And the monster nodded dramatically as if the performance had confirmed his darkest fears. Determined to find a backdoor way to uproot the plant for good, he tiptoed into the chambers of the Health Parliament and instructed them to draft scrolls of overreaching rules that would essentially undo the hard work of the villagers, merchants, and the king's veto. And that brings us to today, the latest chapter in the Kingdom of Texas versus one chill little plant. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching.